probably. A dose of prison was what I needed. But apparently that wouldn't do any good, Sean, because a very early arresting officer said, "You'll be back." Apparently because I didn't respect men enough. But we'll come to that. Then on to smuggling throughout all of Asia, Afghanistan, Bangkok. Contacts? No. Scrape them off the street. That's where I got mine.
Let me interject. David has been on Danny Dyer's Deadliest Men. David has had a movie made about his life. David has got 2 books out. It is the most breathtaking story we have ever had on the True Crime Podcast in terms of its scope. He escaped from death row in Thailand, the only Westerner to do that. I mean, my heart was almost popping out my chest listening to the stars align as he describes in meticulous detail from the fake laser gun pen to swimming through Crap Creek to
Masbar Creek.
Masbar Creek. And as you may have already detected, David speaks in Australian Queen's English.
Very old-fashioned accent it is.
People say they can fall asleep listening to.
I'm nodding off now.
This cherry is such a
how
delicious.
is it?
The cherry flavor.
I can see it's giving you energy. You need to rip open the green one to settle you down after that.
It's my favourite, is the cherry.
A lot of people make cherry, but not everybody gets it right.
Anyway, let me end my interjection with all of David's links are in the description box. If you want to get his books, audio books, check out his work and go to his YouTube channel where there are 10 times more videos over there on his life story.
Half of them stolen from you.
Back to you.
It might be fortuitous that it's been a bit of a gap because just the other night, I had one of those dreams you have where, all our dreams we live in the past. The sets, the arrangements go back to early days. But it was back to the early smuggling times, which, was it all ruthless like the movies? No, as I've told you, not so much. It's a matter of calculating your own survival. For example, whatever it is that you're bringing, whether it be from South America or Asia, the customers, if they are important enough, they will scare off the raggedy-ass small fry, the cheap gunzels, the 4-bit gangsters who want to come and help themselves, which a lot of that goes on. But I didn't really have that problem. Oh, yes, I regret many things. Perhaps not what everybody thinks, but regret many things. And was kind of surprised at then not knowing what to do. I ended up with a load of cash and a coffee table in the living room, but no other furnishings in the house. And it was almost depressing getting back in one piece. Why? Because I hadn't been arrested? Not so much that. The only good part was working out how to get through it. In fact, I was so kind of off the rails and naive in a way, it wouldn't have mattered what it was as long as it was difficult to get through. Somebody had said, peanuts are outlaw. I would have gone straight for the hard stuff, macadamias, Brazils, all of that. I really, in a way, didn't want to give it to people. But a bit of clumsiness, leaving myself open to investigation, led to a big arrest in Australia. A huge trial, 6 months long, something, 120 witnesses, 9,000 pages of telephone intercepts and transcripts. Because it was so long, the jury wasn't sure about it. They half wanted to let us go, but convicted on one thing. That was enough for His Honour. Belted me away for 15 years, of which I served 10, in fairly tough condition in supermaxes, because there'd been deaths in the case. Yes, the police talked it up, saying, McMillan and his partner Sullivan are having witnesses bumped off, but it wasn't that. An informer was, because we wouldn't speak, everybody in the family was arrested. My wife was arrested. Michael's wife was arrested. They were held in the women's prison. They put an arsonist in with them as an informer who got, yes, careless with matches. And it's very hard to imagine how primitive prisons were at that time. They had no TVs and radios, just a kind of loudspeaker. And at 11 o'clock at night, they'd shut it off. And the last words I heard that there'd be a fire in the women's prison. So then it cut off, and the door opened at 7 in the morning. So it was a long night. Ran out, guards wouldn't make eye contact. Nobody would speak to me or Michael. Visits came out. I don't know. It's a bit of a haze. The whole family was there. She was dead. Clelia was dead. So was Michael's wife. Putting aside my own feelings about it, that generated enough material for the police to scare all the couriers, who then turned state's evidence. So a real challenge there. I was completely off my head. When my lawyer came out, I handed him a piece of paper with a little chit note to a friend. That'll get you $250,000, Rainer. I'm going to go and confess to the police next week when we go to court. They'll take me across the road. I want 2 45s with silencers on them, and I want them handed to me by Jimmy Rimmer's sister. Not Jimmy himself. They know him as a virtual Wild West gunzel. But his sister was quite good at passing things quietly in the street. That's how nuts I was. I wanted a flatbed truck to go past with a mattress on it, so after I'd let the guns do the talking, I'd jump on the back of that and away. What, to run away? No, to go full Apache. I'm in Chato's land, no one left. Luckily, my old hippie lawyer calmed me down from that, and I survived the 10 years in the supermax. This place was so bad. I mean, they closed it eventually, but it held 48 people. Just in 1 year, there was 36 deaths alone. Mostly people carving each other up. Some of the greatest nutcases in Australia were housed in that place. A kidnapper of a bunch of school children was in there, Ted Eastwood. I'm trying to remember whether he found Christianity after this or before. I'll say after, because when I passed him in the corridor, he was cleaning up his hands from the exercise yard where he just dispatched Alex Tasmarcus, who was another killer. The killers in these big prisons vie with each other for who's got the most, who's got the numbers.
Killer kudos.
Yeah, I mean, you probably come across this with other people who've sat in the equivalent of this Chippendale, is it? But even if there was nobody else to kill, they'd talk somebody into killing themselves in the next cell. But it's a jail. What do you expect?
The YouTube word we use now for that is unaliving themselves.
Oh, yeah, I quite like that.
It's got a good flow, isn't it?
Discirculating? Or,
Discirculation.
He went into discirculation, I'm afraid. He's not as talkative as he once was. Now, I got out of there. I clawed my way into a lesser evil prison than an open prison, which was insane. When I say that, the open prison was insane. They put me in charge of the local cafe, which sold to the staff and visitors, and handed me the keys and said, "We've heard about you, McMillan. You hang on to those keys. and don't let those b****s near the cash. I said, well, sir, the prisoners don't get down. What prisoners? I'm talking about the staff, my officers. Don't trust on one of them. Don't give them credit either. Oh, and you've got to make $1,000 a year. So instructed, I did accordingly. I made a little bit more than that. But what killed it all was when I was released, they were waiting, the same policeman. They even visited me, said, well, can't wait, David. And what they did was really quite effective. It was following me. It was kind of mind games. I mean, original old-style gaslighting, getting into my flat and moving things around and then, blatantly being stuck behind me in traffic. I couldn't really live with that. I tried to go and visit the crematorium where Clearly was, but when I got out of the car and got closer, I picked up the police. I couldn't get it. It sounds very odd, Sean, but I couldn't bring myself to get any closer. Remember, for 10 years, because that's what I served. I mean, there was a helicopter escape charge, but there's a saga. If there'd been as many helicopters as promised, they would have needed air traffic control in the guard towers, believe me. Everybody had a helicopter scheme. I was the only idiot who went down for it. Anyway, during all of that time, I never had... Look, if you go into a long-termer's prison cell, apart from some god-awful Christian art, you'll see pictures of family or whatever. I had nothing in there, not a single thing from home, because everything had been stripped away. I didn't want them, my perceived enemy at the time, to be handling stuff that meant anything to me. So you can imagine when I was trying to visit the grave, if they were there, it would kind of kill it twice. So, get out of town, only thing to do. Went to elaborate lengths to... part of this dream I had the other night, and it kind of replayed the whole thing. I went to elaborate lengths to make sure I wasn't followed. And where was I heading? I was coming here to the land of my birth, England. But I was going to stop in Thailand to pick up some money. Old rule, this should discourage people from crime. You cannot survive a 10-year sentence with anything you went in, no matter where you put it, who was holding it, where it's buried, what the commodity is. Gold will turn to lead in the mysteries of long-term jail sentence storage of assets, and not to mention the law, which confiscates the confiscations. You know how deep it goes? If say some of the alleged ill-gotten gain from your rave parties years ago, if under these confiscation laws, if you'd invested that in a company, and it was seed money for a company, and it had done very well, the entire company would be theirs. It's kind of like a never-ending tax jump. So I'm not grumbling about that. Who cares? It's only money. You know, that's why. You know, I said to a judge once in a court, I said, well, Your Honour, I guess the only thing I can say in my defence is that I don't do any business in this country, in the UK, and I pretty much supply foreigners who pay me in their currency, Scandinavian money, and I transfer that back into pounds. Now, Your Highness, I think he was upgrading his status every time I said anything, as that I'm digging myself a bigger hole here. What I've done, you see, I've taken all those pounds that fellow Englishmen have carelessly spread around the world into the hands of Johnny Foreigner and brought it back where it belongs. Is that worth something? Well, I got 6 years, so I guess it wasn't worth much. Now, when I stopped in Thailand on my way to a new life, having taken these massive precautions, the passport had to be perfect. This means it can't be a forgery, it can't be a fake, it can't be put together, no picture swaps, no somebody's been, these days they check births and deaths registers are all combined, so the idea of finding an old newspaper and getting somebody about your age who died in infancy using that birth certificate to generate no, will not work. I had to do it in the only way that such a thing can be done quite perfectly. Now, just for information's sake, what that does involve, a friend has to kind of fall on his sword a bit here. You go to somebody and you say, Nicky, I've got to get out of Dodge. Go and apply for your passport. But don't put in the papers. Just go to the dentist and have him countersign it and so on.
Know what that means? Ooh, I've been hearing that a lot lately. That's what I hear when we make another sale on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Whether you're selling Pokemon cards or hoodies, Shopify simplifies selling online and in person so you can successfully grow your business. Covering all your sales channels from a shop-front-ready POS system to its all-in-one e-commerce platform. Shopify even gets you selling across social media marketplaces like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Full of the industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth, Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand without learning new skills in design or coding. And thanks to award-winning help and with an extensive business course library, Shopify is ready to support your success every step of the way. What's lovely about Shopify is that no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify will be there to empower you with the confidence and control to take your business to the next level. It's time to get serious about selling and get Shopify today. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Sign up for a £1 per month trial period at shopify.co.uk/Sean, SHAUN, all lowercase. Go to shopify.co.uk/Sean to take your business to the next level today. Shopify.co.uk/Sean. Link in description box if you're watching this on YouTube. Thanks for supporting our sponsor. Back to the podcast. Cheers.
And then if you're ever asked in the future, you say, well, I don't know, I broke up with that girl. We never went to Malaysia. The whole thing never happened. I don't know. I think I must have thrown the whole thing in the rubbish bin. Yes. What? You're telling me somebody dug it out of my rubbish bin and swapped the photo? And when they rang the dentist said, yes, he came in 2 days ago and I signed it. I'm not going to say what he looked like. But having gone to all that trouble, rang somebody over there, a contact who was tied up in the big case from the Golden Triangle, and didn't know that he was being watched constantly by the US DEA. So from day 2, I'm only there 3 days. On the 3rd day, I try to leave the country. I go to the airport. They're everywhere. You know how you know police are on your case? They're not looking at you. They refuse to look at you. You can stare at them in the face. They just won't take you in. So that was it. I had to sink into the crowd. I melted away. I took 2 taxis, a couple of tuk-tuks, went through a supermarket, went to the Montian, had a couple of drinks, got on foot. So I've lost them, yes? No, I haven't, because I've walked into a travel agency where there's a pile of cigarette butts down there, and that tells you somebody's been standing there waiting for something to happen. And I was the something to happen. So then they steamed in. It was so depressing. I only I wanted to die, but you don't have the privacy to find the ultimate way out like that. What saved me? I don't know. Does time heal all wounds? No, it doesn't. But hope does. And a rather slick Bostonian con artist he was having me on. You can imagine you're in a big prison, and what have they got in Thailand? The only people, all of the locals, if they're big enough, they're pretty much out. It's all dealt with in the police station before you go to court. Just the Westerners there were the lost souls, the detritus, the withering leaves that have been blown into the corners of Asia and absolutely hopeless. And quite a lot of them rather cruelly set up too. So, sure, there were plenty of people trying to trick me and get what they could, but I pulled myself together. I moved to the sentence part of the prison. This is a huge place. You know, I only found out last year that it actually holds 20,000 people. That's in 10 prisons. There's a women's section, and they've got all different names. None of it means terribly much. They're not all women in the women's section, and they're certainly not all men in the men's section, that's for sure. They used to have... Building 1 was very popular on Saturdays when they had internal visits. Definitely internal. So it would be only when they ran out of estrogen from time to time that the thing would get pretty disgusting looking. They had beauty contests and everything. They didn't trust foreigners. They wouldn't let you on the ground floor. I was up on the 3rd, and I knew that if I shared any of this with a local, I'd be finished. I think those who are interested can go to, I think it was in your box set, episode 5, that details the long, long night that got through that. And it was a night that a couple of my cellmates, I mean, this was a private cell, so it only had 6, and there was only one informer in there. But, what an informer! You know, the kind, 1 slap to get him talking and a 5 to shut him up, that kind. So it could not be delayed, and the sun was rising as I got to the outer wall. But I did that what? I found a place to hide in the world, in Baluchistan, where my old friend Nurjan Magsi sheltered me for quite a while. Now, a lot of people, friends, supporters, people who'd sent me money while I was in there, you can live pretty well for $500 a month, though I spent more than that. They were kind of angry with me for putting my toe back in the water. Toe? Did I say toe? No, I think both feet. In fact, it was a triple 2.5 gainer swan dive from the other end of the pool. But a lot of people, this is my excuse, entirely fallacious, nonsensical excuse. A lot of people had supported me, and I had to break half a dozen laws even to get back to the UK, and the passports I had were laughable. I was even using the one that a Thai Chinese friend had supplied me. I mean, you said I had some good fortune on that night. Can you imagine meeting somebody in a prison who then gets released and has the contacts and goes to the trouble of getting you a passport, which has had the picture changed in it, and it's on the computer, and it's got the correct stamp on it, and everything else about it is correct. The odds are remote. So what was planned? Was it going to be a happy life?